Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back. So, where we left off on Stavros Evo here is we're planning on making the upper radiator support removable. And as I mentioned in the last video towards the end, the factory has a couple of tack welds that they use in order to keep this on, aside from a couple of the bolts and hardware. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the fenders off on each side and then remove those tack welds in order to ultimately make the section removable, which will include cutting it right about here and also right below this, or above I should say, this bolt line right here, in order to make not only the upper section but the lower section removable as well. So we'll have a separate video on how we're going to do the lower section. That's a standard product that most of you who follow me regularly already are aware of. Removable tube front end for the Evo 8s. This one in particular is going to actually be designed a little different because Stavros has requested to keep his AC, and with my current design it doesn't allow you to do that because it actually hits the lines right here on the condenser. So what we're going to do is start with the top end and ultimately move into the bottom end. So we'll go ahead and get started on the top end right now. As you can see, I've already removed a lot of the front end stuff here. He actually had an ACD kit, active control, center differential, which is a bunch of hardware and a reservoir and a pump and all that, which we're deleting because this is going to be converted to 5-speed from a 6-speed. So I've taken the time to go ahead and start eliminating all that stuff. And so I've just got a couple other pieces of hardware to remove before we can actually pull the fenders off. So stay tuned. Prepping some stuff here, and it occurred to me that I should probably explain a little bit of it. I've got to make a couple of cuts, which I explained earlier, right here, here, and here, pushing the AC backward because we want to maintain it. But I've also got to eliminate what from the factory is considered to be the power steering cooler, which is essentially a line that comes out of the reservoir, goes out of the reservoir, goes on a line that's goes in front of the airstream, and then just simply circles back and goes to your pump. So it's not really much of a cooler, and we need to remove it in order for the tubular front end to work properly. This car is not going to be much of a road racing car, and even at that point I don't know how heavily impactful that type of a cooler is. I would say that if you really needed a power steering cooler, that you really should have a traditional style tube and fin style cooler. But nonetheless, thought I'd explain that. One of those things that has to be removed. Okay, so real quick update, we've pulled off all the fenders, or the two front fenders. We have removed all of the accessory items and gotten all the wiring out of the way so that we can access the areas that we need to do the tube front. Now what we're going to do is drill out the spot welds. I know that I mentioned them as tack welds. That was the wrong term. These are spot welds from the factory in order to make this removable. So I'm going to go ahead and drill each one of those out, and it's okay to do that. There's other ways to do it. There's just ways of sanding it down, or I've tried a couple of different ways. The best way to do it is just drill through those holes. The reality is they're going to be covered anyway by the fender, so you're not going to see them anyway. And there will be an exposed hole on the side, which is what we will use in order to make this top section removable. And all the other connections that are there for the removable tube front end on the lower half will keep everything sturdy and in place. So let's get to drilling. see, we've got the removable front end in process. We've made the top end removable and we've made our cut. So now this bulky OEM piece is out of here. I do want to tell something to those of you that are watching that are probably freaking out thinking, holy cow, you got your oil lines for your oil cooler right there, man. He's planning on hooking those up again after all that. No. That's just sitting there because we're deleting the oil cooler and we're just waiting for the plugs to come in. And in the meantime, rather than have it drip all over my floor, it's sitting there in the pan. So I just want you guys to know that I'm sure looking at that going, holy crap. No, that's not going to be hooked up and used on the car. We're just waiting for those lines to come, or the plugs for that matter. So in the meantime, those are going to hang there and all kinds of metal and stuff's going to get in there. So don't freak out when you see that. So we got some new goodies that came in. I'm not sure what that is, but we're going to find out how nice this is. I've got a plasma cutter in the shop already, but it's one of those, you know, cheapo units that I bought on Amazon, and it really doesn't work consistently. So got to always continue expanding and investing in the business. So I invested in a new plasma cutter, and this one's actually got a pilot arc and it seems to have good reviews. So I'm looking forward to seeing how much better this one will work for my needs. And it's perfect timing because we're just getting ready to start cutting and bending tube for this tube front, and this should make the job much easier than dealing with the bandsaw. So let's see how things work for us with this new prime weld pilot arc plasma cutter. One of my current customers decided, after purchasing a carbon fiber Sunroof Delete from Sergio over at Carbonetics, that they decided to go with the whole roof itself that ended up coming up for sale. So once this was ready, they contacted me and said, hey, were you interested in getting one of those for the Evo? And I said, actually I am. I want to maintain the standard roof. I don't want to go with a full carbon roof because then that'll cancel me out of certain classes. So getting rid of the weight from not only the motor, but also the glass on the sunroof, which is currently still on my Evo, should help a lot, considering it's, I think, like 30 or 35 pounds collectively, and that's also at a high center of gravity. So when you're launching the car, that's putting a huge impact on its center of gravity, both front and rear. So shout out to Sergio at Carbonetics for offering this product. That I can put this in my car and hopefully go deeper into the 80s. No, but man, that is one pretty piece. So thank you, Sergio, for kindly making great products like this for the industry. This will be the second piece that I have that's made by Sergio. First piece being that carbon fuse cover that he helped replace, which somebody stole at an event. So anyway, that's coming on the Evo here soon. Alright, so now that we have established our cuts on the main frame, we need to start working on boxing that up as well as building the tubular front end. So what I've got here is some standard 1/8 inch steel and then chromoly material along with the templates that I use to remake this stuff over and over again. So I've got a piece of chromoly here, for instance. Take it and do a quick trace using my template or jig or whatever you want to call it, and this is going to give me my best chances for consistency when I make this. And luckily we have our new plasma cutter, which is going to help us speed up this process that much quicker. So looking forward to it.